welcome to sunny Madison, Wisconsin and the beautiful Monona Terrace. I'm Brian Reynolds with Pete Ward and Sierra Blair Coyle, and we're here for a little live ABS Nationals pre-show where we're going to talk about the comp, other things going on in the climbing world. We have Sierra right now. Alex Puccio is going to join us in a little bit. So to get things started, Pete, I understand you have some questions for Sierra about the business of climbing.
I do. I have lots of questions about the business of climbing. First of all, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How are you hanging in with the weather?
It is cold, but I'm adjusting. You know, I brought some pants and some jackets. I have a hat and gloves.
You own those things in Arizona. I was just in Arizona, and I wore none of those things. I don't believe you.
Is there a place you can rent winter clothes when you come to places like Madison?
Dude, there should be, and I'm not kidding. If you go to, like, shop for a winter coat, like, they're just not the same as somewhere where it's actually cold. Like, winter coats are, like, light sweatshirts for us.
Yeah, we take our winter coats seriously.
I like your idea, though. I think there should be, when you step off the plane, you could make a killing. This is a good business idea, because we're going to talk about business. Yeah. Make a killing just renting winter coats for thousands of dollars.
Oh. Definitely.
Okay, but that's not what we came to talk about. So I understand, actually, that you study marketing, a specific type of marketing at Arizona State University. Is this true?
Yes, I'm actually a marketing major with a concentration in digital and integrated marketing communications.
What does that mean?
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what everyone's wondering, right? So digital marketing just deals with more non-traditional types of marketing and with branding and really how you can get customers involved with brands. And I mean, as you guys both know, everything is so these days, e-commerce and with the internet. So it's really just thinking outside the box and how can you connect with consumers.
Totally. I just came from Arizona, where you live, and the Super Bowl was huge there. And it seemed to me that people were grasping at straws. Like, so you have Pepsi, who sponsored the halftime show, which I'm sure everybody saw, and it was the hashtag hyped for halftime. So they're clearly investing in digital, but they also spent what had to be hundreds of thousands of dollars wrapping buildings, like old school. So it seems to me like digital is still being figured out. I mean, is that something that you see?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, traditional is still great. I just think digital is so unique, and people are really trying to grasp it and figure out, you know, what the return on investment is with digital marketing.
Well, we'll get to return on investment in a minute, but first of all, define digital marketing to people, because that might still seem like some industry speak that they might not know. So I assume when you say that to me that you're talking about Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, correct?
Yeah, and then there's so many other things that go into it. And initially I was like, digital marketing, we're talking about social media, right? But then it's like mobile ads, apps, just anything that really is connected with technology, I would say.
So it is a very broad subject matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to keep talking about this with Sierra, but we actually have a little lab experiment that we prepped before we did this, where Sierra, who has a massive, my spreadsheet here says, 250,000 followers on social media, about-ish total.
Somewhere around
Is that
there.
about right? Okay. We're looking at the analytics of how many people are watching right now, all 3 or 4 of you probably, because we just advertised this an hour ago. And she's going to pump it out on social media right now and see how many more people tune in. And Jordan Shipman over there from Louder than 11 is going to let us know if we see 100 people, if we see 5 people, because it's a Thursday night and everybody should be, what do you do on Thursday night?
I don't know. Around here, you just kind of hibernate.
So if you have the internet, do you have the internet when you hibernate? I think
so. It's like a telekinesis thing.
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
5 minutes in and I'm confused. Anyways, so Sierra, you just popped that out?
I did, so you guys better start watching.
Yeah.
Make me look good.
We'll be interested to see. So Jordan, please do keep us posted. So while we do that, talk to me, like zero in on one of those things. So you obviously have a huge brand as a climber that based on hearing you talk about it, you've put some thought into.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that thought process begins. Start anywhere in there you want. We got plenty of time.
Oh, okay. So basically, just to start right at the beginning, when I initially started climbing, I always wanted to be a professional climber. And when you're young...
How long have you been climbing for?
I had 12 and a half years. It'll be 13 in September.
And you just had your 21st birthday last Friday?
Yes.
Okay, so you started when you were 9.
I was 8, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Cool. Okay, go ahead.
So I always wanted to be a professional climber, but when you're a little kid, right, any sport you try, you're like, oh, I want to be a professional soccer player, I want to do this or that. And I guess as I just kept climbing and training and I started to improve, I was wanting to become sponsored, and I thought one of the best ways to become sponsored was to have a website, right, so people could know who I was and go check it out.
Did you have a MySpace?
I didn't have a MySpace until I was 11, I think, or 12. But I built my own website when I was 10, and I did it with Microsoft Front Page. So I wasn't like writing code or anything. I still don't know how to write code. But
still, you must know what Microsoft Front Page is.
It's a horror show, but we'll go into detail.
I will represent technology ignorant America. I have no idea what that is. It sounds like a horror show.
It worked at the time, right?
Yeah. It was timely.
It helped me out, but my dad got it for me, and he said, I can't help you with this until the weekend. He got it to me on like a Wednesday, and I had my website up and running by Friday. So I really think everything with branding and sponsorships, it just started a long time ago, and I didn't know where it was going, but I started with that, and then as it kept going, then social media came into play, and obviously I'm on social media. I love it.
Love it.
So it just kind of snowballs from there.
Yeah. So currently now, if you have something that you really want to do for a sponsor, or something like being on a podcast that you really want to promote, where does your head go? What is useful? Like if we had this was unplanned, basically.
Yeah.
We just texted you about this morning. So there's not a promotional plan around this event, but let's say there was. Let's say it was a week from now, and you wanted to try and let everybody out there know and do the best you could for your sponsors. How would you start thinking about that?
Well, for something like a podcast like this, I would try and let all of my sponsors know immediately and give them all the specs I could about the broadcast. Like this is what time it's going to be, this is the link, this is the hashtag we're using, and just kind of any pertinent information they need to know, because then they can push it on their social channels. And then for me personally, I would put something out, kind of immediately, and then a few days after, and then a few postings on the day of, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one right before, because you don't want to annoy people with postings, but at the same time, people totally forget. And sometimes you need to have that 5:59 p.m. posting, like, "Hey, tune in, I'm on in a minute," and they're like, "Oh, right, like
That's
my computer."
about the length of my attention span.
Yeah.
Is 1 minute. Are there times of day, and this is maybe an obvious question, but are there times of day you want to avoid, or certain platforms that are better for different things? Is there a certain goal that would be better achieved on Instagram or Facebook or? I keep going back to those because that's what I know, but feel free to educate us.
That's interesting. The thing I've noticed, and I looked a lot into this at first, just with any business I could find or just any articles written on it, like key posting times. And it just depends what you're doing. For me, my reach is global. So any time of day, someone's going to see it. But usually if I'm trying to post something, it's like 9 a.m. in the morning. Lots of people get to work, check their Facebook, something like that. But middle of the night is usually not too key. Not a lot of people are up, but at the same time, you might have someone across the world who's on Facebook. So
there is your Australian following. You have to think of your Australian following.
I know.
What about them? Yeah.
I need to plan time zones accordingly, I guess.
Yeah. This is my business. I could talk to Cher all day about this, and I will. Do you have any questions?
Well, I think one thing's interesting that you've been doing this for such a long time, thinking about your social media following and before social media websites. And I think a lot of climbers don't really put a lot of thought into that. And so what is it about it that has interested you from the beginning, and why don't you think more people focus on it?
For me, social media is just a fun way to connect with people, honestly. And I just do it because I like it. I just like to interact with people, there's no way to put it. And I've always really wanted to share climbing and help it, become a bigger sport and more well-known. So social media is a great way to do that. You can post pictures, blogs, just random tweets about whatever you're doing at the time. And people really like that. I'm not sure why more people don't utilize it. Maybe it's not their thing, or, just it isn't for everyone.
Is it something that you view obviously it's your job as a student, right? You have times you have to be at class and work you have to do. Do you schedule time? It is a bit your career right now. And by a bit, I mean entirely, right? And so, how do you approach that? It sounds like we're just talking about your job here, but in fact, most people use social media as a recreational tool.
Yeah.
Was there a transition point where you realized that it was a job and not just a recreational tool? And how does that affect your approach? Do you have to schedule, like, this is my social media time, this is my whatever else digital time?
I think when I really was like, okay, it's social media is big and I need to do this, is I had one Tumblr Tuesday about a year and a half ago, and I had 250 questions that I answered that day, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I do other things on Tuesdays, not just Tumblr Tuesday, but it's like a lot of time sitting in front of the computer and answering questions. 250
questions at a minute a question is math, 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I guess that's really just when I realized it. And then, as I've gotten a bigger following in social media, I've had more opportunities come up, and, from media outlets or sponsors, or just, you have it. And that's when I think you really realize this is an important part of what I'm doing, because, I have my climbing, which brings me opportunities, but social media is bringing me so many opportunities as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and let's talk about the climbing. How does this all dovetail in with climbing? Does it leave you much time for climbing, or where's your focus?
Oh, climbing is still the number one, obviously. I plan my whole day around climbing. It kind of sounds nerdy, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to be to the gym at 3 p.m. and like I just want to relax until then, or I need to get that hour nap in before I train. And when I'm at the gym, most of the times I don't even bring my phone with me, or I'll like turn it off. Every once in a while, if I get like a cool dyno or I'm working a cool problem or something, I'll be like, oh, let's snap a picture and I'll post it on social later. But climbing is definitely the focus, and I really try and just when I'm at the gym, I'm climbing and I'm training, and that's what I'm there to do.
Do you find I was talking with a friend of mine who recently did a climb that I think some people might have heard of.
What is this climb?
It's called the Dawn Wall. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of this.
No.
He has
I'll look it up.
this friend of mine has trouble walking into a climbing gym right now.
Mm-hmm.
That ever happen to you? Do you have trouble going to the gym to train? Do you have too much of a following? Does your celebrity, to the degree that it exists or doesn't exist, get in the way of actually climbing?
No, not really. I mean, everyone at the gym, I've known them for so long. I think we think we're all like a bunch of goofballs together, so it's it's just really normal for me to walk in the gym. It's not very different.
I was surprised by that when we went climbing last week or 2 weeks ago, and it's really true. Like, you're just another person in that gym.
Yeah.
But that's your home gym.
Mm-hmm.
What about when you travel?
When I travel, I definitely get to meet a lot of people, which is really cool. People will just, be friendly in general because they're climbing, and then, people will introduce themselves as well, and that's always really cool and really special for me. I'm very flattered.
Super cool. And going back to Tumblr Tuesday for a minute, 250 questions. This is the internet we're talking about here. I'm going to guess about 4 or 5 of them are smart questions. Like, sorry, internet. Don't mean to insult you. You know it's true. How do you deal with some of the just nonsense that's out there?
I mean, first of all, if I don't like a question, I don't have to answer it. That's
fair enough.
That's kind of the best way to handle it. I'm in control of it.
Yeah, good point. Excellent. Well, that was. I feel like I've expanded my knowledge of digital marketing a little bit.
I learned something tonight.
Yeah, that I didn't realize we could. I thought we knew everything.
Just learn more, Pete.
I have one more question about the comp.
Yeah.
What's your goals for the comp? Starting tomorrow, tuning in at
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Central
When
Standard Time.
Qualifiers start tomorrow morning.
LT11.tv. You got any goals?
Goal 1, make it to semifinals. Goal 2, make it to finals. Just take it one day at a time, one round at a time, one problem at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have you been training hard?
I've been training really hard. Kind of in June, I think I kicked it more into high gear, and I'm just excited to see what happens. I've trained hard, and I think I'll do well.
Yeah.
You've made finals of this event a couple times in the past. What is the one thing you've kind of taken away from those experiences that you're going to draw on tomorrow?
Just that anything can happen. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, when you make finals, you're always really excited. But then you're in finals, and I just feel like you don't really appreciate how awesome it is sometimes, And so I just really want to try and savor everything that happens.
That's a fine point. There's a long list of us who have never made a national championships finals, and that's an experience that I bet is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Would you want to do that? I would want to do that.
I mean, I'd probably hurt myself, but otherwise it looks like it'd be pretty awesome.
I generally hurt myself walking around every day, but that would be cool. Let's get your inside analysis. So, Alex Puccio, 8-time national champion, prohibitive favorite. Sorry, we're ready for you, but she's on an unstoppable tear. Can anybody beat her? Oh, there she is right now, walking in for the interview.
Yeah.
No pressure. She's
Good
right over
time to
there.
ask this
What do you think
question,
about
right?
Alex while she's standing right next to you?
Right? I mean, Alex is an incredibly talented climber and has just been so dominant for so long. I can't imagine her not doing well at this competition.
We could stop there. Unfair question, unfair time. Well, unless you have any further questions.
No, I think we're just about out of time. Do you have any last questions yourself, Pete?
I could talk to her about marketing all day. And you know what we forgot to mention, actually? Let's see if anybody even did it. You can tweet questions to us. This is the Climbing Narc, at Climbing Narc. I'm Big Pete Ward, at Big Pete Ward. This is Sierra Blair Coyle without an E. And we're going to be, isn't that right? That's your Twitter handle?
Sierra Blair Coyle without an E.
Yep. And we're going to be doing this all day tomorrow for qualifiers. So while we failed to lead off with this today because we hadn't had the conversation about digital marketing yet and we didn't know, but now we know. Yeah. We'll be here all day tomorrow. So tweet your questions at us. Use the hashtag ABS Nationals or use one of our Twitter handles. And I will work on my speech impediment and we will chat with you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
All right, Sierra, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks
We're going
for
to take
having
a
me.
quick break. We'll be right back with our 8-time national champion, Alex Puccio.
For EP, climbing walls and handholds is our business, but that's really not why we're here. We're here to enrich people's lives and introduce climbing to the world. We know that once somebody gets an opportunity to go indoors and climb on a climbing wall, that they're going to be hooked and they're going to be a climber for life.
Louder Than 11 is in the business of storytelling. Rather than just providing a live streaming service, we use broadcast as a medium to tell vivid stories. Our creative productions provide an experience that focus on the heart of an event. We use innovative technology to tell stories that would otherwise not be told.
Terrace in Madison, Wisconsin. Brian Reynolds with Pete Ward and Alex Puccio. Alex, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
We're going to talk to Alex for the next 40 minutes or so. If you have any questions you want us to ask Alex, you can tweet at us.
Are we going to talk for 40 minutes?
I know, it's a long time.
It goes by fast. You can tweet us with the hashtag ABS Nationals, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can get some questions in the chat there, and we'll try to ask Alex the good ones. So, Alex, thanks for making the trip up to Wisconsin. How was your journey?
It was pretty smooth, and it's cold here. It was actually like warm in Colorado today, so it was hard to leave. But yep, easy. So good flight.
It's a good thing that this is an indoor comp.
Yeah. It's really cold outside.
If you'd been in charge, it would have been an outdoor comp. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it might even the playing field for some of the locals.
Anyways, Alex. So Alex Puccio, if you don't know, you should know, is the 8-time national champion, reigning 8-time national champion, reigning defending national champion, going for 9. How you feeling?
Yep. I'm feeling pretty good. I just did a lot of competitions recently. I've been training, if we're indoor, outdoor, everything, and I feel good. So, I mean, but, I know more than anyone, I guess, that, like, anything can always happen. I've been doing it for so long that, just because you're in your best shape doesn't mean you're going to win. So
that leads exactly into a question that Brian has asked many times.
Yeah,
recently.
So we were talking before the show, and I was thinking about how easy it is to lose this comp. Almost everybody that comes every year doesn't win, right? And
there's 100 people and 2 winners.
And the rounds are long. You have to climb 13 boulder problems through the 3 different rounds, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
13.
I was like doing the math, like, yeah, 13.
Qualifiers.
Yep.
And it's changed over the years, but it's a complicated comp. It's not all. It's problems of different styles. Finals, a lot of pressure, a lot of attention, and it's easy to make a mistake and not be able to recover from it. So what have you done over the years that's allowed you to win 8 times and not make those key mistakes?
Well, we can say something that I didn't actually win 8 times here, because last year I came second.
We're going to bring that up, don't you worry.
So don't give me more credit than I deserve. But
we are the hard-hitting media, Alex. We're on it. Yeah, totally.
But
you're still the national champion.
Yeah.
Technical details.
But I don't know. Like, I feel like I just go in every time, even if it's a big comp or a little comp. Like, I always go in with the same mentality of anything can happen and anyone can show up. I mean, I was just a 16-year-old girl that just came into ABS one year. No one thought that, no one knew who I was. And I know that's going to happen again someday. So, yeah, I'm just keeping my eye out, and I know anything can happen.
Could very well be another young lady from Texas.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
Don't mess with Texas, Brian.
So talk a little bit more about the final round last year. I think the first problem was pretty difficult for you, and
Which one was last year?
it was.
If I remember, Alex, let's set the stage a little bit, was dominating basically
Mhm.
qualifiers and semis, and then finals came around. And I think we were sitting in the booth, sort of scratching our heads, like, so. I mean, Eula Verme's great, but clearly not her weekend. It's Alex's weekend. But then,
I think it was a slab problem. Kind of throws you off your game a little bit when you first come out.
Sometimes I wouldn't say I actually like slab, and I would say I think people have a misconception of me. Like they think I am bad at slab because I used to not be good at it, but I've learned that you can't tell yourself you have any weaknesses. And I would go out there and say that I think I'm pretty good at slab, and confident. I think I can mess up on a slab just as well as I can mess up on something overhung. So yeah, I've been working on that, and everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, but I mean, you can't, I think it's, something you can't tell yourself that you're bad at something or you will be bad at it. You have to tell yourself, okay, I can improve on this and I want to improve and I like it, and then it becomes reality. So,
Is that something that was when I think of technical climbing and slab climbing, historically the stereotype, and this has changed recently in fairness to American route setting, but the stereotype is that it's more technical, more slabby in Europe on the World Cup circuit, right? And you've climbed a lot in Europe. Is that something you had to address for climbing over there, over here, both, something you just wanted to get better at?
I definitely think you have to get used to it, and like any type of climbing in Europe, the walls are definitely, yeah, there's maybe more slab. They enjoy it a bit more, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's just a style, but I think the setting is different in Europe and everywhere, and just experience goes a long way, and getting better and better at something you might not be bad at, as in maybe you can do it and your body's ready. You have everything to do something, but your mind's not really used to it yet. And I think that was one of my problems, that I wasn't familiar with it yet. So.
Would you say that that experience is one of the main things that allowed you, going back to last year in the scenario we set up before, but to kind of get past, or maybe not last year, but in general, if you make a mistake, are you better at rallying? Are you better at keeping your head in the game?
Yeah, I definitely have. I didn't do as well last year in the World Cup circuit. I stopped kind of like with the last two competitions left, and focused a bit more to outside climbing. And sometimes you just need a break, but yeah, everyone goes through different things, and I think one of my biggest problems to get over is my mental strategy in games. And I mean, more you do, the better you're going to get. But I addressed that I had a mental problem with, like, I couldn't, I don't know, it was like a snowball effect. I didn't do well in one comp, and I think, first going into semis and finals quite often in the World Cups, and then finals, I would just bomb. And it wasn't because the style wasn't, suited for me or something. It was mental. And I realized that, and then I was like, I'm not going to go to the last China and France World Cup. I need to take some time and address this issue of mine if I want to get better. And kind of that's what I did, and it's been working. So
That's a difficult thing to do. People, how do you address a mental weakness? Like, how do you train that?
yeah, that's all the coaches from all the different teams used to tell me, you just need to free your mind and let go. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I really didn't
That's what I'm
understand
asking,
it.
right? I hear people say this kind of cliche stuff that you'd see on like a dentist, the wall of a dentist office or something like that. And I don't know what that means, right? Like, how do you apply that to a room with, there could be 1,000 people in this room on Saturday night, and there's going to be millions more watching online. And, how do you put all that away and climb V10 on site? Like,
Yeah,
that's badass.
It's really
Jesus, I never really said it like that. Sorry, go ahead.
it's funny because I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things that people said it, but I didn't know what it meant until like I just went outside climbing, kind of did what I loved to do, and kind of just like let the pressure off and just have fun. And then I'm like, okay, this is what they meant, and this is how it feels. And I just started using that mentality in competitions, like with that snowball effect, just like going into going to the comp site, how I felt outside, and it just made everything better. I didn't train for competitions anymore. I'm training to be a better athlete. So I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, being like, I'm training for this, I'm training for that. I'm kind of just like all around climbing all year and training all year. Like, I have times where I train less, and then maybe I'll train a little bit or different things. But I'm always doing, running, because I like doing my cardio during the summer. Then I'll go hiking more instead of running, for instance. So I'm always doing something different. But I'm not just training for one comp. I'm just training to be a better athlete.
It's interesting that you like running, and I'm totally hijacking all your questions about climbing
No.
hard, but if you don't
Let's talk
mind,
about
okay,
running.
good. Because I was chatting with Jonathan Segrist, who's a great climber, who you may know about internet, and he was saying one of the most, he just started training. Do you know who he's training with? He told me. one of
The
the elite
what?
coaches in Boulder. And he was really frustrated because the first thing that this coach had done was tell him to stop running because climbing is such an anaerobic sport. And a lot of climbers historically run because you want to be fit, you want to,
Yeah.
keep your metabolism up, all these other good reasons. And you still do it, and you're at the absolute top of the game. So maybe running not so bad.
I don't know. I just started like I mean not just started, but I never used to run before or do any exercise or to cross training until this last summer. I started climbing outside in the park, which is like 4 mile hike up where we're going at like 11,000 feet altitude, and you're exhausted and you're carrying your crash pad, and like that's hardcore cardio, I would say.
Fair
You
enough.
know, and then climbing all day,
It's a pretty
hiking
good workout.
down. So, I mean, you can't get enough calories in, and just you're burning so much energy that, that's like an intense workout. We're doing that like 5 times a week. And so, after the park season was done, I was like, okay, I want to still do cardio. So I started running, and I run about like on average, 4 days a week. And only 3 miles every time I run, and I do it on a treadmill because I like the fitness aspect of it. I don't really enjoy running. I enjoy the cardio aspect and the working out and the sweating part of it, if that makes sense. I know the pain part.
I ran cross
don't know.
country in high school, and what I remember is I really liked stopping running, and I liked that
It is-
enough that I kept doing it.
Well, see,
So,
I remember with the feeling every
That is
time
the
I'm
best
like,
part.
the feeling after the run is the best part. You're like, oh, I feel so
endorphins
good.
are a real thing.
Yeah, I think there's some science.
Yeah. They call it like runner's high or something,
Yeah.
but you feel really good and feel good about yourself. And I mean, that's why I do it. And I don't like it when I'm doing it, but I keep in mind what the feeling is afterwards. And for me, I think everyone's different, and everyone does different cross training if they do any. And I never did any before I started going outside climbing this last summer. But I mean, obviously, I've seen a difference, so I'm going to keep doing it.
That sounds a lot like alpine climbing, so it's fun when you're done.
Fun when you're done.
You accomplish something.
And Twitter tells me, a reminder, you can tweet at us using the hashtag ABS Nationals. I'm Big Pete Ward. This is at Climbing Narc, and this is at Alex_Puccio. Is that right?
For the Twitter.
For the Twitter.
Yeah.
What about the Instagram?
Instagram, same, Alex_Puccio89.
But you can tweet at us and ask us questions. And we have an answer already. It turns out that Jonathan Segrist coaches are the Anderson brothers. But I'll hand this over to you to actually talk about real rock climbing, which I really don't know anything about rocks.
Yeah, so I want to take a step back and go back in time a little bit because you've won ABS Nationals 8 times. So I think a lot of people feel like you've been around forever, and they don't really know your background. Where did you come from? They know that you're from Texas, but where does Alex Puccio learn to rock climb? Where does she? What are the early years like? So you weren't always this good.
My early years. Well, I started climbing when I was 13.
What year would that have been?
What year? I don't know. I'm 25 now.
2002.
You guys can do the math. I don't know. Somewhere around the early 2000s.
Okay.
I started climbing when I was 13 from Dallas, Texas area. My mom, Kimberly Puccio, she got me and my little sister, my little brother into it when she did it for about a year. She had a boyfriend that got her into it, and so kind of was like a family thing. And it's really cool that we all shared something. And my little sister was actually better than me. I'll admit that. My mom's probably laughing right now because she's watching this in her hotel room. But my little sister is better than me.
Yeah. So what was it like when you first started? Did it come
I
naturally?
was terrified. No, not naturally at all. Like I started climbing at a gym called Exposure, and we weren't on a team right at first. And there was like literally, it's 22 feet tall. I was on a top rope. The wall was so easy they had to take it out after a while. Like you could walk up it with no hands, like this slab. I would not go to the top. I wouldn't. I just could not. And then my little sister did. I'm like, oh well. I mean, if she did it, I have to do it. So I mean, that's kind of how it started. I'm very competitive. I think that's,
Obviously.
and I think that's how I got good at it.
8 national championships, not good enough. Must have 9.
Why not 10? Why not 11? No, but-
Okay, you're reading off my script here. How long do you want to do this for? You're 25 years old. You are an 8-time national champion. You're here for number 9. You got a number in mind? You got like a lucky number out
I
there?
think I just keep going until I don't want to. I don't know, like until something says I don't want to do it. I've not had the urge of not doing it anymore yet, so I'm just gonna keep on going. That's about it, I guess. With that, I don't know.
Let me take a couple seconds to ask some of the audience questions. People in the YouTube chat room here. One person wants to know which of the rounds in the comp you find the most difficult. Is it finals or is it one of the other rounds that's more challenging?
So in World Cups, I definitely, and a lot of us athletes say that we find the semifinals the most challenging because, I mean, not that I feel confident for sure I'm going to make it into semis, but more times than not, I've made it into semis, and it's a little bit less nervous, and they take more people. But then that cut from 20 to 6, and anything can happen. And I mean, I know in the World Cup, like the girls are all so close, and just one slip, and sometimes they make them too easy in the World Cups, where that you have to do all the boulders or something, and that's really kind of terrifying. And so I would say semifinals. We all say that's the probably like the hardest round for sure. And then finals, you're excited, but then I definitely get more nervous as the rounds go on, more stressed. Finals, and then I'm in finals. I'm like, okay, I got to keep it together and be on your game, and you're already tired, and especially if you're first going into finals, then you climbing last. And then if the boulders are too easy, then you're really freaking out because then you know everyone's
You have to
doing
listen to
it.
5 people send it right before
Yeah,
you.
exactly. So it can be, but then if you're last and you know no one's done it, then that's pretty cool. It's a better feeling.
And what is the fatigue factor like as you go through the rounds? Is it easy to stay fresh, or is it pretty challenging?
You get used to it for sure. I definitely feel you definitely get more tired, but that's why we try to train power endurance, and running helps for that, I think. Being able to learning that you can keep going even though you're tired is essential. And I really, the experience of it, knowing what foods to eat before that can give you more energy. Um, if you want to take a nap in between, the little things that you can do to, gain as much energy and conserve as much energy.
I mean, whatever you're doing is working. So why don't you share your secret? It's just the three of us. Nobody's watching. What do you do? Do you take a nap between rounds? What do you eat? What do you like?
I personally don't like taking naps in between rounds, and sometimes the time varies, like how long you have between semis and finals. But, yeah, for me, if I sleep, I just get a little too tired. I like to lay down and relax for sure. Right after the round's done, I'll go eat some food, and then I'll just like lay down and watch some TV or something, but maybe drink a coffee. I don't like to be too shaky, so if I drink a coffee, maybe like an hour and a half or 2 hours before or something. But I always eat a banana like 20 minutes before I go out and climb.
That's it. That's the secret. Eat a banana 20 minutes before climbing.
Got to increase your solidity
You
with
on
those
that?
bananas, yeah. No, you gotta watch more climbing movies, Pete.
That's fair enough. I could tell you all about climbing movies from the early 90s.
That'll be the after show.
Yeah, you want to talk like Masters of Stone 1? I'm in.
I don't think we have a VHS player to play any of these movies anymore.
Shout out to Circuit Climbing for watching. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. Remember, you can tweet at us at #ABS Nationals. You had some more questions about climbing outside because she's been tearing it up, yeah?
Yeah, so let's go back to last year. You were on the World Cup circuit. Like you said, that it was going, I think for most competitors, they would say it was going pretty well for them. But for you, your standards are a little bit higher, and you kind of decided to stop traveling and focus more on outdoor climbing. And you had really unparalleled success last summer climbing a lot of hard boulder problems. We'll just put it that way. What changed?
Can we ask about some of your highlights from climbing outside?
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us what you like. I know I was there in Switzerland when you flashed some 8A that was goddamn impossible. So, but that was a low light compared to everything else that happened after that. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I think, after being so stressed in the World Cup circuit and I stopped for a little while, I went outside climbing, and I kind of just had a new mentality of just like having fun and just not really caring. And I'd go outside, and every time I did a boulder, I never thought, okay, I'm going to do this today. Never. I never thought I'm not going to do this, or, oh, this is going to be really hard. I mean, actually, I'll take that. Sometimes I thought this is going to be hard, so just try hard. Mm-hmm. But every time I sent, I never had the feeling like I'm going to send it this try. I try to put it in my head that it didn't matter when you sent. It doesn't matter if it's, be confident that you can climb it someday. But if it's today, tomorrow, a year, 5 years, like it really doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere, and that's the mentality I took with it. And every time I sent, like, it was a neutral, I found some state of like neutral mentality that I could, really put myself in. And I think that was the key to the success, and always trying my hardest. Mm-hmm. And I do this little thing, and it was really weird, but for me, like, I found out that I tried really hard in the gym, and I would get intimidated outside for whatever reason, maybe because I didn't do it that often. So I'd picture the boulder problem as it was pretend it would be like a plastic climb in the gym. And if I wasn't trying my hardest for some reason, if I was intimidated, even if it wouldn't be tall, I'd just be intimidated to try my hardest. And like, well, if it was inside, you'd be trying your hardest and you'd be falling. Like, it doesn't matter. So I kind of pictured that, and that's a little trick for me, but everyone has different tricks.
I know a lot of people struggle with that, though. I think that's
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
yeah, it doesn't matter how hard you climb.
And yeah, I mean, that's the modern problem, right? You learn to climb in the gym.
Yeah.
And then at some point, many climbers want to transition that to outside climbing. And here at the absolute top of the food chain, we have the exact same problems everybody else faces too.
See, we're all the same. Stars are just like us.
I used to get intimidated climbing with guys. Not intimidated, but like with guys, I used to have an excuse. I'm like, oh, they're guys, like they're strong, like it doesn't matter, give myself an excuse. Like, I'm a girl, I'm short, blah, blah, blah. But I think that's another thing I really changed is that, I realized that in the gym, I would never think that. That would be the funny thing. In the gym, I would want, if Daniel Woods or whoever, Paul Robinson or any guy was, trying some hard boulders, I wouldn't be intimidated to be like, okay, or give myself an excuse. I would still try it, even if it was like really hard for me. I would still try my hardest.
That's badass.
But now I took that to outside, and I think that I really learned that I really like. I don't want to be good for a girl. I want to be just a great athlete, period. And I'm not a feminist, but I want to be equal. And I think, us girls can be seen as equals, and we should. And I think that that gap is closing, and I hope to portray that and show that, to other females out there that, don't be intimidated. Don't give yourself an excuse. Like, yeah, you might be shorter, but there's guys that are really short out there too. Pick a boulder problem for you. It doesn't matter. Girls can have more flexibility. They can hold on to smaller holds. They're generally lighter. So we do have advantages in some ways, and it's awesome to note that and empower those things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it
Exactly
seems like
right.
it seems like you really closed the gap with male climbers in the last year or so. Do you see yourself pulling even with the guys?
I think it'd be fun to do like a co-ed competition sometime. Like
I would love that.
invitational co-ed comp. That's what I'm saying. It'd be, if anyone wants to put one on, like, I'll be there in a heartbeat. It'd be
I
fun.
can't believe, I don't think I've ever asked you this before. I heard a rumor. Did you arm wrestle Daniel Woods ever?
Maybe.
How'd that
I
go?
think I heard that rumor too.
Good for one of us and bad for the other.
Do tell.
Ah,
The rumor I heard is that you beat Daniel Woods at arm wrestling. That's what I heard.
that could be true. I'll let him tell you that story. I feel bad if I we'll just say that is a good possibility.
Well, I really, for one, super appreciate your approach and what you're saying. And I think it should be inspiring. I appreciate anyone who works hard. I personally would count myself a feminist, and I think all of us should approach all of our lives as though we want to be the absolute best we can within our certain abilities. And I think it's really,
Yeah.
really cool for you at the top of your game to feel like that's still not as far as you want to go, because you don't want to be limited by any specific thing. So that's, I feel like for me personally, that's really cool.
I say we're all equal, and we
Yep.
just have different body types, and
Yeah.
and don't say, okay, I might be like, that move is really reachy, but I wouldn't be like, he did that because he's a boy and I'm a girl, or that person's really good at crimps and this person's good at just squeezing. Different styles, I'd say, and everyone they're equal. So
You gave me the most complete. I'm a big dude, and Alex gave me the best power spot I've ever had in Switzerland. I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready," and then I was flying, and it was fantastic. It was
Just
yeah,
levitating.
I basically did this boulder problem that I had no chance of doing because she picked me up with one arm. It was pretty
Nice.
impressive. We're going to talk more about rock climbing. Now we're talking about
No, I like this. I
me
like
getting
what we're
thrown
We're just
around
talking about
Switzerland by
everything.
Alex Puccio.
Yes, I guess we talked a little bit about outdoor climbing last summer. Did any problem stand out for you, or was there one that was more meaningful than any of the other ones?
there was a few. I mean, obviously my first V13 was pretty cool. I did Top Notch, and that's not known to be a girly climb.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call that.
That's pretty burly.
Can you inform the viewing public Top Notch is where and what sort of style,
It's
what sort of
in
movement?
Rocky Mountain National Park in Upper Chaos, Middle Upper, something like that, and long hike. And it's just like the first move is a really hard move, and then
Yes,
there's
some people say it
jump
might be the
moves.
hardest move up there.
That's what they say, and like I said, style. I mean, it did take me about 2 hours to maybe do the first move. I did all the other moves. Joel and I were working it the first day on it, and we were doing every move from like the top down. And we get to the first move, and I'm like, ugh, this is too hard. I can't do this move. I sat there, and then finally, I don't know, I was just like kind of screaming, and then I was sticking it and then falling towards the top on my first day, and then did it, I think, second try, second day. And but I didn't go there. I remember Angie Payne, she said to me, like, you're going to do this today, like, psyching me up. And I was like, yeah, maybe, like, and it's hard for me because it's, you want to think that way as well. But I really realize that I have to make myself think, okay, yeah, I know I can do it, obviously, but it doesn't matter if I did it today or not. And with thinking like that, I ended up doing it. So that was one big achievement for me. And then obviously doing my first V14 Jade in Rocky Mountain National Park, and that was a pretty cool feeling. So, and I fell off the last move first day on that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got a big flapper.
Wow, that's past the hard part, so that's really impressive.
And that's a cool boulder problem, and it's tiny holds, big powerful moves, and it almost didn't feel real at first, but
and for anybody who doesn't know, that was originally V15. Yes.
For a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
For a minute. For a hot minute.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's not going anywhere from V14.
No,
right?
it's pretty hard.
Okay, good. Any more questions about climbing outside?
Not at the moment, Pete. Do you have any?
I want to talk a little bit more. I want to put a little bit more pressure on comp predictions. So going for number 9, who are you afraid of? Who out there? We put Sierra on the spot talking about you, with you standing right there. So let's put you on the spot with everybody else watching. Is this something that stays in your own head, or are there specific people who are like, I got to get past that person?
Well, it's funny that one thing I always tell myself, and I really stand by when I'm coaching the kids at Team ABC, I always say, the only person that can beat you is yourself. Mm-hmm. The only person that can make you win or lose is yourself. And you win or lose to your own goal, and everything's relative. But yeah, that's why I keep an open mind and think, I don't know what the competition's like. I don't compete, or I don't climb with them all the time. I climb with some of them in Boulder, which we have a really good, community there. So it's pretty awesome. But I mean, Megan Mascarenas is really strong. You have Megan Martin, you have Angie Payne, you have the little kids, they're not so little, but they're
age-wise, they're little.
Yeah, age-wise, they're a lot younger than me. You have Claire and Gracie and just all these kids everywhere coming out. You have Francesca Metcalf that just flashed V12.
Yeah, she did.
So you have, all of these people that can take it. And I think it just really depends on how you feel that day, how your mental game is, and if the boulder problems are your style or not. So anything can happen.
Definitely.
Do you see? So the next Alice Puccio could be in the comp this weekend. But do you see anybody matching?
I mean, it's got to happen eventually, right? She can't win for the rest of time.
I mean, maybe. They're doing crazy things with science these days. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Aging and whatnot. But it seems unlikely that anybody's going to win.
Not for me, they're not.
8 national championships or more. Again, do you see anybody matching that record?
Me? Yeah, definitely. I mean, all the time, Megan Mascarenas, she makes finals. She made finals in Vail this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't make finals in Vail. So, really anything can happen. And that's just the way I think of it. I think it's cool not knowing. And it's cool that I get to see the kids at ABC and Team Texas and stuff. So I kind of can keep my eye out a bit. But I really love coaching the next generation, the next best thing. That's awesome feeling to give back to the community in that way and give back to the sport that I love so much. So
I'm really glad you led into that, actually, because that was going to be my next question. This whole interview sounded actually dropping coaching pearl after coaching pearl about mental preparation and physical preparation and challenging yourself to improve in all the right ways and not making excuses and everything else. And you are getting into coaching. So at some point, right, presumably you'll stop after 20 consecutive national championships or whatever it is.
At some point.
And coaching is a thing for you that you're putting in as something else you really care about in your life.
Yeah, and I've been one of the head coaches for Team ABC for about almost 2 years now, and travel with them to all the competitions, and I'm there 5 days a week. I coach, and I love it, and it's really fun. And sometimes the kids kind of challenge you, and if you're having a bad day, it's a little hard. Yeah. But I love it, and I have a very fortunate, awesome, great life and job. And what other job can I do that's really gonna help pay the bills, and I can have fun doing it, and I can leave for competitions and also do that. I mean, there's not much else out there that's so great, and it fits my lifestyle perfect, and it's fortunate that I love doing it too.
Yeah,
So.
that really shows through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have one more question about the business side of things.
Go for it.
Okay. So you were just talking about as a job, right? This is your job. This is how you make a living. And part of that is what we were just talking to Sarah about, actually, the business of social media and just generally promoting your brand, dealing with representing your sponsors. How do you approach that in general, the business side of climbing? Is it something that you have to leave time for? Is
It's
it something?
hard.
I know that it's hard, and that's why I ask. And I do sort of apologize for putting you on the spot, but
It's okay.
but I mean, it's part of the game, and the sport is growing,
Yeah.
and people like you make it into a career. And I guess the simple question is, how on earth is that possible? How do you do it?
Wow. I would say that's always been a struggle for me with, I don't know, I never saw climbing when I was growing up. I never wanted to be a professional climber. I never knew you could be a professional climber. And that's not why I started climbing. I didn't keep doing it because I thought you could have sponsors and get paid from it. I just knew that I loved it, and that's why I kept doing it. And I remember when I was about maybe 15, my mom was like, "Do you want a sponsor?" I was like, "Really? What is that?" And she's like, "Well, the shoe company, my first sponsor was Evolve back in the day." And she was like, "Well, we got you, they were really interested." And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then after that, like, that's how it started. When I was like 14, 15 or something. But it just, it's one of those things that it kind of grew from there, and sponsors have changed throughout the years. And now I'm with, Fugu and Scarpa are really awesome. And it's hard. Like, it's kind of, you have to hustle it. I mean, climbing is a small sport. It is growing, I think, at a pretty fast rate too. But there's not a whole lot of money in there. And there's a lot of people wanting a piece of that, and athletes. And you really have to sell yourself. And I never was really good at selling myself, I guess. I find it weird talking about myself.
Talking to two guys about rock.
I don't know. Like, I always got shy talking about myself. It's a weird feeling because I never did it because I'm like, I want to be famous. I want to be I don't think it's climbing, and I love sharing my story though. And I love meeting other people and getting to know their story. And I think, that's one thing that sponsors really like. In social media, I had to learn over the years that how to use social media to my advantage. And I actually love doing it now. And it's one of those things that sponsors really look for is, the social media part and getting your story out there and getting their story and just sharing, your passion for what you do. And it's really important.
Yeah, it seems like you've gotten more into social media in the last year or so. How has that experience been?
It's been really good. I started, my Instagram is not all about climbing. If you ever looked at my Instagram,
It seems to be mostly about doing one-arm pull-ups, but I don't know. I might just miss the other days.
It's so funny because I started just putting these like videos and photos on there because I train and I love training and just like love exercising. And I mean, I never thought I'd get the response that I got, and it's not even just from climbers and climbing, and it's crazy. And I was just like, wow, like 5,000 new followers in like a week or something.
Yeah, people have really responded.
That's exactly like that's. I'm looking at my phone right now because I remember. I'm now you brought it up. I'm not going to get the answer, but I just followed you on Twitter this morning, and you have some thousands of followers on Twitter, and you've tweeted like 5 times or something.
Yeah.
And 3 of them were in the last couple of days.
Well, it was just funny because I've had a Twitter for a while, and we were at Froyo the other night with Nina Williams, one of my good like friends, and
shout out to you, Nina, if you're watching. Nina's awesome.
She is.
Yep.
And we're talking about Twitter for some reason, and I was like, I think I have a Twitter account. And Joel and Nina were like, well, do you have the app? And I was like, no. And I was like, oh, wait, look, I do have the app. So then I clicked on it, and Twitter was the only thing that I didn't really do. And then I was like, they're laughing at me because my last post was from like 2013. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I should tweet some more. I have to get more into that. Like Instagram and Facebook, I'm all over it. Tweeting, I have to get the
they all link together.
Yeah, I know.
Super
you
easy.
can
I think my point in bringing it up is clearly, and this is just what Brian said, people are hungry for the story, and you've got this, I mean, you've got your mysterious, did the arm wrestling happen or not? You've got a lot of really much more interesting things to talk about than that, obviously, we found out tonight. And people want to hear it. And so I hope to see, personally, I don't know what you think, I want to see a lot more.
Yeah,
Alex
but
out there on
if
social
it's
media.
not on Instagram, it didn't happen. So just keep that in mind.
It's funny, and I get a lot of like, feedback from the photos and stuff that I post, like, what's your diet like, and how much exercising do you do, blah blah blah. I mean, obviously, I've lost some weight, and I will address that as well because I know that some of the questions that people wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it's on there, and you're just not asking them because you.
It's not on there. I haven't.
But,
I've been living under a rock apparently, so I hadn't heard that.
I've got,
How about you ask and answer the question?
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny that I didn't, like I was saying before, ever do cross training before this last summer, and during the summer I didn't do cross training. My cross training was hiking, and I, for eating my diet, I try to answer people on Instagram and Facebook as much as I can. Because they're like, oh, you must not have, indulge in anything. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I have the biggest sweet tooth in the world. And I probably eat a little worse than I should by how much sweets I take in. But I definitely, try to eat healthier and watch some things, like eat more vegetables and chicken, blah, blah, blah. But I just exercise a lot more. I do more cardio. And I think before, I just never did that. And I didn't treat my body like a professional athlete before. I was a kid, and I think when you're a kid, you can eat whatever you want and do whatever you want. You can eat McDonald's 5 times a day and it does nothing to you.
Gross.
I know it is gross.
You can, but you don't have to.
When I was younger, I literally ate, growing up, it'd be like Jack in the Box or KFC, Taco Bell.
Nice.
You won national
Seriously?
championships like
This
this?
is how I ate for years.
It's a
And
secret
then
fuel for
No, it's not.
I
That
don't-
increases the degree of difficulty by
Alex Johnson.
by orders of magnitude.
she likes talking
Taco
about
Bell,
it.
yeah.
And that's how I used to eat all the time. But then as I got older, I realized, your metabolism does not stay the same as when you're younger.
True that.
And not that I thought I was overweight or anything at all. It's just I started hiking and I naturally slimmed down. Just eating, didn't eat McDonald's or anymore, but I would still, the only thing I'd change is I eat gluten less, not gluten free. I say everything in moderation. My moderation has a bit more sweets in it than probably should, but that's fine. I love cooking and baking. Especially baking. I baked the other day 30 something cupcakes and a cake. None of it was gluten free, none of it was dairy free. It had tons of sugar in it. And and that's something that I like to address, that when you get older, I think you have to watch a little bit more. Just like your injuries, they last longer. You have to take care of your body more. But I say everything in moderation, and I run 5 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week, and I do my core stuff that I love to do. I climb 5 days a week. So, my body just naturally, once I started treating it like a professional athlete, training like one for the first time in my life, this is what happened. So
the results been pretty staggering.
20 national championships. I predict
Yeah,
it.
really
You
happy
heard it
there.
here first.
oh man, now pressure. That's pressure right there.
No pressure. Well, it's been fantastic talking with you, Alex. I really appreciate you coming. And
Thanks for
I
having
really
me
appreciate
here.
your insight on all this stuff, and I hope we're doing this for years to come.
I do too.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll have my kids here sitting next to you someday and chatting to them.
Yeah, you could be coaching your replacement right now. You can come take the crown from you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
well, best of luck, Alex, to you.
Thank you.
We're going to say goodbye to Alex, and we'll set the stage for tomorrow and Saturday. Alex, you may leave. Thank you.
Awesome.
You are
Thanks, guys.
dismissed. We
Bye.
have dismissed you. Is it that simple? Just thanks. We're highly pro here.
Yes.
I'm the intern.
Thanks, Pete.
I'm the production assistant.
So, Pete, let's set the stage for tomorrow.
Let's set the stage for tomorrow, Brian.
Everything that we're talking about is going to be live on
Thanks, Alex.
lt11.tv,
Thanks, Joel. Bye. Yep, sorry.
starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with women's qualifiers, and then tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. with men's qualifiers. What are you looking to see tomorrow? Who are you excited to see climb?
I'm really excited to see if this is Daniel and Alex versus the world, right? These are our 8-time national champions who, they have to be the prohibitive favorites, and they are champions. It seems unlikely that we'll ever see somebody doing what they're doing now, ever
Yeah,
again.
I agree.
And so the question is, how long is it going to last, and can they keep it going? Alex is clearly working really hard to make sure that's the case. Do you have any idea where Daniel is right now? I don't know where he is right now.
Probably-
Is he training?
Probably doing push-ups or something, obviously,
Yeah, so,
getting ready.
but is he getting ready? Is he not getting ready? Like these are the questions that are going to determine how long those reigns last, and that's a really hard thing to do. Honestly, I think when you're an athlete and you're on top of the world, who thinks about getting older and getting injured? You know,
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody doesn't. And
Nobody
so
wants to think
I think that's the narrative here. It's going to happen eventually, and we're in a scenario now where you can go to any gym across the country. We talked last year about how the industry is changing, and we're in this rapid period of growth in climbing. You can go to any gym in the country, and there's some kid on sighting V9, and these problems are V9 and V10, and maybe some V11s thrown in there, and that's really, really hard to do. But more and more people are doing it. So the next Daniel Woods, the next Alex Puccio is out there right now.
Yep.
And the question is, are they here in Wisconsin? And we're going to find out tomorrow. So that's what I'm interested in seeing tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just like Alex said when she won her first national championship. Nobody really knew who she was. She just came out of nowhere, and she hasn't really looked back. She's won almost every one she's entered since then. So really looking forward to this whole weekend. We've got hours and hours of live coverage to bring you. It's going to be a great time. We're going to see a lot of climbing tomorrow. We have almost 100 competitors to compete all day long. So.
And please do remember, and tell your friends, please tweet at us. This is at Climbing Narc. I'm at Big Pete Ward. Use the hashtag ABS Nationals. You can ask us questions. You can ask us. There's going to be all the pro climbers in the country are going to be here. So if you got a question for one of them, we can get them pulled into the booth. Tomorrow is a long, free-flowing, interactive day, and it's a lot of fun. We get to talk about climbing in depth, which obviously we really enjoy. And if you're watching right now on a Thursday night, you probably enjoy it too.
Yeah, so tell your boss that you're going to be a little less productive tomorrow.
Oh, yes. This is important news, actually. I know 2 tricks here that are good. So Alt and Tab switches between windows really quickly. And the other thing is Control and minus minimizes the window, right? So
I'm going to write that one down.
yeah, these are good things. So you can watch during work with the sound off, support climbing.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap up our live show tonight. Thanks to Sierra Blair Coyle and Alex Puccio for stopping by and chatting with us.
And I want to jump in one time, actually. I was really impressed with both Sierra and Alex. We have 2 very articulate, very intelligent, very professional women, and I really appreciated their take on how difficult it is to make it in this game. I really appreciated Sierra's take on how professional she is and how she approaches this, and I think she deserves a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, so with that, we're going to sign off. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with the LT11 Dream Team. Whole crew's here on site in Wisconsin. For Pete Ward, I'm Brian Reynolds, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.